pre-order your copy of Football Game Plan's latest book project, The Go-Go Offense by Brennan Marion. Now, Coach Marion is the offensive coordinator at William & Mary and takes you through the ins and outs of the most explosive offense that's lighting up the college football fields and scoreboards in the process. You can pre-order your copy at footballgameplan.com/GoGoOffense. Now, the release of the Go-Go Offense book is August 25th. Welcome to Football Game Plan, where football makes sense. I'm Emory Hunt, the czar of the Playbook. Mike McCarthy is your producer today. It's the summertime and preseason is just around the corner in the NFL, and we'll get you ready for the upcoming 2019 NFL season as we preview the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, as we kick off the season preview, let us take a look at some of the key storylines heading into the season as we go into our 4-minute offense.
Over in Cincinnati, Zac Taylor was appointed as head coach, replacing longtime coach Marvin Lewis. But is he ready to be a head coach? He's never even been a full-time offensive coordinator in the NFL. Last season with the Los Angeles Rams, Taylor was quarterback coach. He's only had 1 year running his own offense, and that was with the Cincinnati Bearcats in college football. Though he has had little experience, Taylor will look to surprise his detractors as a rookie head coach in 2019. Taylor's starting quarterback is Andy Dalton, who just had his third consecutive losing season as a starter. Will he remain the starter as the #1 quarterback in 2019? The Bengals drafted Ryan Finley in the 4th round, and Zac Taylor was rumored to be really impressed with his work during his time at North Carolina State. Jeff Driscoll is also a candidate in the quarterback competition, as he played in 5 games last season after Andy Dalton injured his thumb in Week 12 versus Cleveland. 2018 was only the second year in A.J. Green's career where he didn't have over 1,000 receiving yards. He was on pace to hit that mark last season before his toe injury kept him out of 7 games last year. His health is crucial to the Bengals' success, as their passing efficiency dips when he's not on the field. The 7-time Pro Bowler will look to bounce back with a strong showing in 2019 to impress his new head coach, Zac Taylor. Jonah Williams was drafted 11th overall by the Bengals in 2019. Though many teams wanted him to play guard, Cincinnati envisioned him as a franchise-level left tackle next to Cody Glenn. However, on Tuesday, June 25th, Williams underwent surgery for his torn labrum. The Bengals will have to emulate the Patriots and find a replacement for their rookie tackle very quickly.
It's time to put this team under the microscope and go position by position to see where they stand as we head into the 2019 season, and we'll start on the offensive side of the ball at the quarterback position. Andy Dalton has been one of the more consistent QBs in the NFL. Now, that could be a good thing or it could be a bad thing. What's true is that he's been one of the more highly successful quarterbacks in Bengals history, helping lead the franchise to a 68-50 record. However, the last 3 years for Dalton's Bengals have been losing ones, absent of the playoffs. Now, this is a pivotal year for Andy Dalton, as he has to not only impress his new head coach, Zac Taylor, but also help get his team back into the playoffs for the first time since 2015. This year, the Bengals drafted Ryan Finley out of NC State to compete with Jeff Driscoll for that QB2 spot behind Dalton. Now, Finley is an older rookie who's played a lot of football in college, but I don't think he's a threat to Dalton's job, to be honest. And I actually think their undrafted rookie free agent Jake Dolegala gives them more upside at the position than anyone else. I like the Bengals backfield. Running back Joe Mixon cracked the 1,000-yard mark last year and was one of the top rushers in the AFC. What was impressive was that his yards per carry went up significantly, which to me signifies his growth from a patient's perspective, and as he was much more natural running the football last year. Gio Bernard is a good complementary back, but he has to be able to stay healthy. Now, since he loaded up on backs in the draft with Travion Williams from Texas A&M and Rodney Anderson from Oklahoma, Williams has good tackle-to-tackle power and balance, while Anderson has that, but also has the ability to hit the home run if he can stay out of the training room, as he's dealt with a lot of injuries at OU. Now, there are also some very good undrafted rookie free agent options as well, in Darren Hall out of Pitt and Jordan Ellis out of Virginia. Both are very similar to former Bengals tailbacks. Hall is stylistically similar to Jeremy Hill, while Ellis is very similar to Ben Jarvis Green Ellis. So I would also be interested to see how second-year player Quentin Flowers does during training camp in his continued transition to the running back position from QB. The Bengals are also strong on the perimeter, especially at wide receiver, with A.J. Green and Tyler Boyd being A-plus talents. Green should get back to his consistent 1,000-yard seasons after suffering an injury last year, and Boyd has quietly become one of the better wideouts in the game. Talent isn't a question outside of those two, but consistency definitely is. Can John Ross stay healthy and fully realize his potential? What can they get from both Josh Malone and Auden Tate? Both have flashed, but it hasn't sustained. And can Alex Erickson shake the stigma of being just a return guy, contribute to the regular offense? With those questions, to me, it leaves the door wide open for undrafted rookie free agent Stanley Morgan Jr. out of Nebraska to make a name for himself. The one thing Morgan didn't struggle with at Nebraska is catching the football and consistency, and to me, that almost makes him a shoo-in for wide receiver 3. And we know the preface statement when speaking of tight end Tyler Eifert, if he can stay healthy, but it's very true, and the fact that we keep saying this is reason enough for the Bengals to try to find a comparable number 2 at the position. Tyler Croft was that guy, but he left in free agency, and they got a good look last year at CJ Uzomah, who played really well when his number was called upon. And I'm still a big fan of Mason Schreck, the third-year veteran out of Buffalo, but he's another one that has to stay healthy in order to contribute. Now, they drafted Drew Sample out of Washington in the second round to be an extension of the offensive line and help bolster the running game. Speaking of the offensive line, this is where it looked to be a strength this offseason, but it has taken a step back in the last few weeks because of an injury to first-round pick Jonah Williams. That'll keep him out of the entire 2019 season. He was expected to be the mainstay at left tackle and help strengthen them on both ends of offense. Now, it puts the rest of the unit back in flux. The plan looks to be moving Cordy Glenn back to left tackle and plugging in free agent John Jerry at left guard. I'd rather see someone along the lines of Christian Westerman get his opportunity to start, but it seems as though he's slated for backup swing duties. John Miller was a really good signing for them at right guard coming from Buffalo, and if Billy Price can stay healthy, he'll be exactly what they've needed for a long time at center. At right tackle, Bobby Hart was given a contract extension this offseason as the front office was very pleased with his progress last year. And I actually think the Bengals do have good depth here with Clint Bowling, Trey Hopkins, Brad Lundblade, and rookie Michael Jordan out of Ohio State. For me, it's all about finding the right first 5 for 2019. Now, here's how I graded the Bengals' offensive units. The Bengals are really good along the defensive line as they'll get 2 key pieces back from injury in both Ryan Glasgow and Carl Lawson, defensive end, as both suffered ACL injuries last year. Defensive tackle Geno Atkins remains one of the best in the game on the interior, and it was good to see Andrew Billings finally start to realize his potential last season. While Carlos Dunlap may not be the same threat as he was a few years ago, he's still productive. But with that said, keep an eye on both defensive ends, Jordan Willis and Sam Hubbard, to make their push and stake their claim for the top defensive end title this upcoming season, along with a healthy Carl Lawson. At linebacker, there is some athleticism, but there are still some questions, and those questions are what have been the common theme for this Bengals squad: injuries. Can both Nick Vigil and Preston Brown stay healthy? I think both guys are really good backers, and if they're out there a full 16 games, then Cincy will be better as a result. Weak side linebacker is still up for grabs as rookie third-round pick Jermaine Pratt out of NC State, second-year player Malik Jefferson, and third-year vet Jordan Evans will vie for that opportunity. I think if Pratt and Jefferson earn starting roles on this defense, then that significantly increases the athleticism across the board. They're hoping that's the case, as that'll put them in great position to match up against the offenses that they'll face this upcoming season. Keep an eye on 2 backers in rookie 6th-round pick Deshaun Davis out of Auburn and undrafted rookie free agent Sterling Sheffield out of Maine. Davis was always around the ball for the Tigers and plays a lot like Preston Brown, in my opinion. He has that dog in him that I like at the position, and Sheffield can not only play the run, but also shows some ability to get after the quarterback. Cincinnati is also strong in the secondary. William Jackson III is one of the better corners in football. He does a great job in coverage, both man and zone, and has the ball skills to make an inaccurate quarterback pay each and every time. Drake Kirkpatrick is the wily vet of this unit and figures to continue his steady play. Now, there'll be a competition for that nickelback spot between B.W. Webb and Darqueze Dennard. Webb played solid last year for the Giants as he was pressed into duty, and Dennard signed an extension to return to the Bengals as he's one of their more versatile corners. Free safety Jesse Bates is primed for a breakout season. The second-year pro is your classic free safety with good range, instincts, and playmaking ability, and I think he pairs up nicely with strong safety Sean Williams, who led the team in picks last year with 5. Now, it'll be interesting from a depth perspective for Cincinnati as they'll get guys back like Trayvon Henderson out of Hawaii and Devontae Harris out of Illinois State. Those guys are returning from injury, and I think this is a pretty solid group across the board. Here's how I grade out the Bengals on the defensive side of the ball. The Cincinnati Bengals want to have an explosive offense under new head coach Zac Taylor, and I think they have the potential to do so, especially with the moves they made along the offensive line, bringing in a guy like Jonah Williams in the draft, and also they have a guy on the roster, in my opinion, that should be in the starting lineup, and that's Christian Westerman, veteran coming out of Arizona State. And I think when you look at what he brings to the table, the athleticism, now that gives your offensive line the versatility to be able to run plays left and right as far as getting those guards on the move. And I'm going to show you one play where they can get him on the move and create a big play in the running game. Again, they have the personnel on the back end with the receiving core and also in the backfield. They're really deep in the backfield this year, but I think they can do themselves a huge favor by putting Westerman in the lineup next to Jonah Williams and next to a healthy Billy Price. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to just trap this guy here, this defensive tackle, and have Westerman come around quick. When you have quick athletic guards, you can do stuff like this, and you really, can't have this type of flexibility when you have those linemen that are not as agile and quick and powerful, functionally powerful with good core strength as Christian Westerman is, in my opinion. And we're going to get creative in the backfield, put Travion Williams, the rookie out of Texas A&M, and Joe Mixon in the backfield. Just going to give the ball to Williams on a quick hitter in hopes to spring a big long run, because we know everyone is going to be focused on Joe Mixon and what he has going on. When I'm talking about everyone is focused on, I'm talking about the defense. So what we're going to do here is have this tackle work up and try to get this backer block. We're going to block back on that defensive lineman right here with the center. Gonna let him go because that's the guy we're trapping. We're gonna have him block down on the end, kick him out. We're gonna have this tackle kind of cross face and quickly get up to that second level. So you're gonna have him go first, him take a short little jab to go kick out that defensive end. Bang, work up to the safety. He's gonna come screaming in there. I think he has a free play. Westerman kicks him out, reverse pivot, first person through, you hand the ball off and allow Williams to run, carry out your fake like that. So it's something simple, but things like this you can't do when you don't have a lineman of the caliber of Christian Westerman. So if it were me, it's going to be Jonah Williams, it's going to be Christian Westerman, and it's also going to be Billy Price. Now, I would probably put Cordy Glenn at right tackle, in my opinion. That puts 4 of the best 5 linemen out there on the field. Cincinnati has the potential to be explosive in the running game and also in the passing game this year if they make a few adjustments along the offensive line. Defensively for the Cincinnati Bengals, one player in particular that I really like is second-year safety Jesse Bates out of Wake Forest. And what I like about his game is the range. In addition to the ball skills and the instincts, but the range is important because it keeps you out of a jam defensively. And when I'm talking about out of a jam, let's say they want to spread the field like we see here. And this is your traditional passing set or formation now in today's NFL. And let's say you have a cornerback that maybe gets beat off the line of scrimmage, right? And now he's in a trail position, not wanting to be in a trail position, but he has gotten beaten off the line by the wide receiver and he's in the chase mode. Staying patient in the center of the field because he trusts his instincts and his ability to get on his horse and get over there to the sideline, he can get there pretty quickly. Let's say you have a situation where in the slot they want to run, let's say you have a sort of a blitz call, you want to run with your backer going down that B gap, and this guy is giving inside position because he got beat initially at the top of the stem. Bates has a great knack for not only closing on the football, but taking the right angle to meet this ball before the receiver gets there and pick it off. So when you have a guy like him, even if he wants to go outside run, they try to run these guys off and throw a quick toss here. He has the ability to get down in that alley and make a stop because he's a solid open field tackler and does a good job of shrinking space and eliminating mistakes. And that's essentially what you want from a free safety. When you find guys like Bates, like the Bengals have in their secondary, it makes calling plays and calling coverage a lot easier because, again, he's a guy that's an extension of the coach on the field that also has the speed, range, instincts, and ball skills to help eliminate mistakes.
Bengals, they're going to have an interesting situation in season because they have a new head coach. They're going to feel very revamped and revived. But I think they have a lot of, you know exactly what decision to make with this team. Andy Dalton, you know the decision to make with him. You pick Andy Dalton up in 2 quarterback leagues or in the 16th round of a 16-round draft if and only if you're in a deep league, 12 teams or so. He can be your backup quarterback because he'll have some good games, and he has the ability, because of the talent around him, to have some good fantasy games. But in general, you're not going to rely on Andy Dalton. You will rely on Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon will get lots of touches. They're going to utilize him as much as they can, like Todd Gurley, because of the system that the coach is coming from. And we know Joe Mixon's best skill set is getting the ball in the open field. His vision is decent. It's not near Todd Gurley's, but he is a good pass catcher out of the backfield. And if he's in open space, he's got some good moves. They're going to try to feed him the ball. Gio Bernard's the only other running back in the backfield. He's a good pickup and not draftable player. And then at the receiver position, I think that they have pretty good stable of receivers. AJ Green's always a guy to take. The injury history has kind of screwed it up. You can get lucky and get him in the early third round, which is a heck of a place to get a guy who could be a number one receiver. He could be a top 7 receiver. Tyler Boyd is a guy who I don't know if I'm going to have him on my team, not because of Tyler Boyd, but he's probably going to get some 5th to 6th round consideration. I think that he's more of an 8th round guy just because the reason that he started to take those reps and take over is because of the double teaming of AJ Green. I think AJ Green will be schemed open a lot better this year, and coverage can't roll so as easily. As far as the tight end position, Tyler Eifert is always a guy who will get you points if he's active. He's just never active. Don't draft him. If he makes it to the waiver wire, pick him up, replace him with whatever your last draft pick was, or pick him up or draft him in the 16th round. Just don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Guys like he and Jordan Reed, they just never, ever are healthy enough to be dependable.
Troy Anthony here, bringing you the best bets for the Cincinnati Bengals. The win line for the Bengals opens up at 5.5 games. At -148, I'm taking the over 5.5 games. The Bengals have the second easiest schedule in the league. With a healthy AJ Green, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, I believe they should obtain over 5.5 games easily. Their Week 1 matchup has them getting 8.5 points at Seattle. At +110, that's a lot of points. I'm taking the Bengals with the spread Week 1. I'm Troy Anthony. Follow me on Twitter @FootballFandom, replacing the O's with zeros.
I'm David Hassagen, and this is Huddle Up with Hassagen. We're going to be firing some quick-fire takes for the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's start with the breakout candidates. Emery, who do you have?
Center Billy Price offensively. I think when you look at the injury concerns with him, I think, let's just say he stays healthy a full season. It really helps out their offensive line defensively. Big fan of Jesse Bates and what he did last year as a rookie. Ball skills, great angles to the football. He's going to grow in that role this year and be a significant player to where he's nationally known and not just known as one of the best players on Cincinnati's team. He's going to be one of the best players at that position in the NFL.
Let's talk about some of the rookies for Cincinnati. Jonah Williams getting a lot of attention. Is he going to be the big impact guy?
Absolutely. Whether you play him at left tackle, right tackle, guard, wherever you play him, he's going to thrive. And I think that's the reason why you like him as a rookie impact player. Defensively, I'm going along the line of scrimmage. Rennell Wren out of Arizona State. I thought he grew significantly last year at Arizona State under then new head coach Herm Edwards. So when you're getting coached by a pro coach and you take what you learned last year and bring it to the pro game, I think he's ready to make an impact right now as a rookie.
Let's talk about some of the X factors for Cincinnati. You seem to be focused a lot on the line, but who are the X factors that are going to win them games?
I think they have to look at Andy Dalton. I like what Andy Dalton brings. I'm a big Andy Dalton fan.
Okay.
Athletic, he's not afraid of pressure, and he makes plays. He has Cincinnati relevant. I remember a time before you, obviously, you're a young guy.
Exactly.
I remember when Cincinnati was relevant, and then they were a perennial doormat. And now they've been relevant since Andy Dalton has been the quarterback. So I think he has to be the X factor offensively. And on defense, B.W. Webb, they brought him in to be the slot corner. He played really well last year. And I think when you look at his ability to play off and then drive on the football, that's the type of guy you want back there in the secondary, making plays. They didn't make enough of those plays on the ball last year. Hopefully, B.W. Webb can be that guy to help them turn the ball over.
Who are going to be the surprises out of training camp this year for the Bengals?
FCS undrafted rookie free agent quarterback Jacob Dolegala. Big fan of his game. I had him really highly rated as a prospect, and I think he's better than the guy they drafted at quarterback. So when you look at Dolegala getting a lot of opportunity in the preseason to prove himself, he's going to prove to be a really good surprise. Already raised some eyebrows at minicamp and OTAs. And defensively, Malik Jefferson, he was a top 5-star recruit going into Texas, was the big man on campus for the Longhorns, but you kind of didn't really see the linebacker instincts that you wanted to see. He has the athleticism, and he was mostly a special teamer spot guy last year. I think this year he's going to finally put it all together and be a guy that's going to surprise some at training camp and put himself in position to be a starter.
Where does the optimism and the concern lie for this year's Cincinnati Bengals?
I think the optimism has to come with the fact that they've strengthened the offensive line. Like I said, Billy Price is going to be healthy. They got Jonah Williams. They have Cordy Glenn, and they can figure out if they want to put him on the right side or put him inside. And, they could find the right combination. And they have good options. You got Tyler Eifert, knock on wood. Let's say he stays healthy the full season. But they got great receivers, A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd. Let's see if John Ross can stay healthy. And they got really good running backs in Joe Mixon and company. So I think they have enough offensively. Defensively, I like the pieces they got in the front seven. They just have to find ways to turn the ball over. So there's a good reason to be optimistic in Cincinnati. But the cause for concern would be if they can't find themselves getting off the field on third downs, if they can't turn the ball over, if the offensive line is still in flux. I know people are making fun of them re-signing Bobby Hart. If Bobby Hart if he can prove to be an asset, that's going to be great. But if he proves to be a liability, now they got to reshuffle the pieces around the offensive line, which doesn't have the continuity, which could then be a problem. Emery Hunt-Thazar of the Playbook here, and joining me now is fellow football game plan analyst Troy Anthony for this 4 Downs with Thazar segment, continuing our preview of the Cincinnati Bengals. As we take a look at the road to the Super Bowl for the Bengals, big story number one is everything that they did offensively to push this thing forward. Their offensive line being intact. If they can get the offensive line to be, let's say, a top-tier offensive line, they don't have to be one, but they can't be what they were last year. If this offensive line with all of the new additions they've added in the draft and free agency can step up and provide that consistency for Joe Mixon in that running game and for Andy Dalton in the passing game, then the Bengals, to me, can be a better team overall because their offensive line has quietly been an issue for the last 2 to 3 seasons.
Now, an extension of that offensive line, I'm going to go with the tight ends. The tight ends are going to be huge. We've seen Eifert deal with injury after injury over the past couple of seasons. When he is healthy, he's one of Dalton's favorite targets. He needs to be healthy this season, but we did see last season Uzma come out and emerge as a good tight end for the Bengals as well. So hopefully this season you can have Eifert on one side and Uzma on the other, helping out with the offensive line, running 2 tight end sets to open up more space for Joe Mixon to run the ball.
I think defensively they have to become a top 15 defense. Defense can definitely win you championships. I know that's the slogan, the cliche, but it's so true. If their defense, with the talent that they have, they don't have to be great. Again, they have pieces on offense to put points up on the board. Defensively, can they get the ball back for their own offense? So if their defense can go from 32 to at least 15, they're playing winning football. And if they're able to do that, we've seen teams win with great offense and average defense. The 99 Rams did it. The 2008 Saints had a really good defense, but they turned the ball over. Statistically, they weren't the best, but they were able to turn the ball over, getting the ball back to their offense. So if you're able to play top 15 defense, you can be just fine. The Patriots don't necessarily have a number 1 defense, but they find ways to make it happen. They turn the ball over to play great team defense. So if they're able to play top 15, I think that goes a long way in helping them get to where they need to be.
Defense is going to be huge, especially because of the offenses in this division. You got the Steelers, who are the Steelers. Yes, they lost AB, but I think that they're still going to be okay. Then you got the Browns, who just became a juggernaut overnight in this division, and a Baltimore offense, who we're going to see them improve. But for them to truly have any shot of making a run to the Super Bowl, I believe Andy Dalton is going to have a top 5 quarterback season. Now, Dalton has been the issue with them for seasons. They get to the playoffs, and he just can't get it done consistently. Whenever they made the playoffs, he just didn't get it done. And he had superstars like A.J. Green. When Tyler Eifert was healthy, now he has a running game. So I don't really see too many excuses for him this season. Tyler Boyd emerged last year, so now I'll have A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, 2 consistent tight ends, hopefully, and Joe Mixon. This has to be the year that Dalton stamps his name as one of the top quarterbacks in this league.
And I like Dalton, and I like the fact that he has been having the Bengals consistent as far as being in playoff contention. Think about it. This used to be a franchise that was moribund, that they were dormant, they were doormats for a long time. Dalton get there, now they have a string of success. He followed Carson Palmer, who helped elevate the program, and Dalton did a great job in following Palmer and what he was able to do for the Bengals. So you're right. especially in a year where they're debating whether or not they're going to re-sign Andy Dalton. So if he puts together a top 5 season this year with the weapons that you outlined perfectly, along with the defense that could potentially be top 15 with their additions, the Bengals could be one of those teams we're talking about late in the season and maybe into February. I have the Bengals finishing 4th in the AFC North. I don't think this team is going to be a bad football team per se. I like their defense. I like their ability to be multiple as far as with their running game, and also they have really good options at receiver. I don't trust the offensive line enough to think that'll be what can carry them over a very tough now AFC North with Cleveland, Baltimore, and also Pittsburgh. So that's it for this season preview. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the Playbook. Be sure to follow me on all of our social media accounts. And don't forget to check out and subscribe to Football Game Plan Podcast on iTunes, where you can find our NFL All 32 podcasts, our fantasy football starting lineup, as well as our Scout Team podcast, and leave us a 5-star rating. Also, subscribe to the Football Game Plan Network located at youtube.com/Football Game Plan. Finally, every Thursday and Friday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, be sure to check out the Football Game Plan show on the Game Plus Network. Check with your cable provider for channel listings.